Have you ever wondered why one pair of sneakers costs like $200 while another one right next to it is only $40? Or why you'll walk past one coffee shop to go to another? I promise you, it is not an accident. Every single successful company out there has a specific game plan, a strategy for winning, and today we're going to unlock that blueprint.
So yeah, that's the big question, right? How do you win? It's not just about luck, and it's not even just about having a good idea. It's about having a clear, deliberate plan of attack. It all comes down to strategy.
And one of the most brilliant frameworks for thinking about this comes from a strategist named Michael Porter. And for him, the stakes here are incredibly high. He basically argued that a company has to choose a path and stick to it. If you don't, you risk being stuck in the middle. And trust me, that's a place where you have no real advantage at all. It's a recipe for failure. So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll look at Porter's core blueprint. Then, we're going to explore the three main paths a company can take. You can be the cheapest, you can be the most unique, or you can be the most specialized. And finally, we'll talk about why picking just one of those is probably the most important decision a business will ever make.
All right, so what is this master plan from Porter? Let's get right into it.
At its core, the framework is actually pretty simple. Porter said that you really only have to make two big decisions. First, how are you going to compete? Are you going to win by being cheaper than everyone else or by being different? That's your competitive advantage. And second, who are you competing for? Are you trying to sell to everybody or just a small, specific group? That's your competitive scope.
And those two questions create this entire game board. It's really elegant. Look, if you compete on low cost for the whole market, you're a cost leader. If you compete on being unique for the whole market, that's differentiation. Now, if you shrink your target down to a specific niche, you're using a focus strategy. And you can do that either by being the cheapest in that niche or the most unique in that niche. This simple little grid, it explains almost every successful business model you can think of.
So let's dig into that first path. This is the strategy of becoming the biggest, most efficient player in the entire game. This is cost leadership. Okay, this is a really important point. The goal here isn't just to be cheap, it's to be the most efficient producer. It's about building a business machine that is so lean, so optimized, that you can either offer the absolute lowest prices to just gobble up market share, or you can charge average prices and just make way higher profits than any of your rivals. And to get there, it takes an absolute obsession. We're talking about things like economies of scale. That's a fancy way of saying you produce so much stuff that your cost per item just plummets to a level nobody else can touch. It means optimizing your supply chain down to the very last penny and using your massive size to get the best deals from suppliers. Every single part of the business has to be laser-focused on one thing: driving costs down.
Think about the absolute textbook example here, Walmart. Their whole world, their entire identity is built around everyday low prices, and they do it with a legendary supply chain and just massive buying power that lets them squeeze every last cent out of their costs. That's their superpower. That's how they can consistently sell for less than almost anybody else.
Okay, but what if you don't want to play that low-cost game? What if you want to win by being special? Well, that brings us to path number 2, differentiation.
Now, the key word here is valued. See, it's not enough to just be different. You have to be different in a way that your customers truly care about, so much so that they are willing to pay more, sometimes a lot more, for what you offer. This is how you build an army of loyal fans and totally escape those brutal price wars. And achieving this requires a completely different mindset. Instead of squeezing costs, you're investing heavily. You're pouring money into research and development to create amazing features and into brilliant marketing to tell a story that connects with people. It's all about quality, design, and building a brand that feels superior, justifying that higher price tag. And who is the undisputed master of differentiation? It has to be Apple. They almost never, ever compete on price, do they? No. They win on beautiful design, an incredibly simple user experience, and a brand that is so powerful it inspires this insane loyalty. People will gladly pay a premium just to be a part of that unique Apple ecosystem. So, we've seen how to win by serving the whole market, either by being the cheapest or the most unique. But there's a third way. What if you decide not to play in the big sandbox at all? This is the focus strategy. The whole idea here is pretty simple. Pick one small corner of the market and just own it. Instead of trying to be something for everyone, your goal is to be everything for a very specific somebody. And it turns out you can approach this in two very different ways. What's so cool is that this focus strategy basically borrows from the other two we just talked about. You can either be a cost leader, but within a small niche market. That's called cost focus. Or you can be a differentiator, but again, within that same niche market. And that, of course, is differentiation focus.
A perfect example of cost focus is the grocery store Aldi. They don't try to compete with a giant like Walmart head-on. Nope. They target only the most budget-conscious shoppers. They do it with a really limited selection and a totally no-frill store. By doing this, they serve their niche better than anyone else by being the cheapest, best option for them.
And then, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you've got Ferrari, a masterclass in differentiation focus. Ferrari has absolutely zero interest in selling a car to the average person. They dominate an ultra-niche market, luxury sports car enthusiasts. And they do it with a brand built on heritage, performance, and pure craftsmanship. Their exclusivity is their advantage.
So we've seen 3 clear, powerful paths to victory. But this brings us to what Porter considered the single most dangerous mistake any company can make.
The ultimate lesson in all of this is you must choose. A company has to make a decision. Are we going to be a Walmart, an Apple, or a Ferrari? That one single decision creates the clarity needed to guide everything else, from product development to marketing. It aligns the entire company toward one single clear goal. Because the alternative is what Porter called the danger zone, being stuck in the middle. And this is a company that tries to be a little bit of everything to everyone. You know the type. The prices aren't the lowest, but the products aren't really that special either. They have no clear identity, and because of that, customers have no real compelling reason to choose them over anyone else.
So, I'll leave you with this. The next time you're shopping, or even just scrolling online, try to use this framework. Look at the brands you really love. What choice did they make? Are they trying to win on price? Are they winning by being totally unique? Or are they focused on a very specific niche that's perfect just for you? Once you start seeing these strategies in action, I'm telling you, you will never look at business the same way again.